actual crime is the way the continent of Africa and the people that reside there are treated, and they're treated as being a monolithic people,
Mm.
right? Saying that Egyptians were black is horribly inaccurate. If you go
Before we begin, please, you know what to do. If you haven't done it already, subscribe, comment, like, share, and if you'd be so kind, hit that super thanks. Have you seen Cleopatra?
No, I've not. I've not gone out of my way to watch it. I might just to make fun of it.
I mean, wasn't
Cleopatra,
Cleopatra part of like a group of people
Ptolemy.
that were colonizers?
Yeah, well,
Like
I don't
100
know.
years,
I wouldn't
her
say it's a
ancestors.
bit of a strong word, but
But that's what they were. They weren't indigenous to
well, they
Egypt.
weren't. They
Right.
conquered. Like,
I
is
mean,
the
I'm
best
not
way.
listen, I'm not trying
Yeah,
to
I know. It's that.
meaning they're not black. That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Well, the other thing too is the Egyptians aren't black either, and
Well, yeah, right. You're
the
building on, yep, you're
yeah.
building your argument.
So ultimately, there's multiple problems here. The first thing is that Cleopatra was a Ptolemy. The Ptolemies, were a family. Specifically, one of them was a general under Alexander. Alexander went and did what everybody did during that time period: is they went around and they tried to conquer other people, right? Uh, because of proximity, he went into basically Persia. He tried to take India, and his generals basically kind of revolted and said no. And when he died, his kingdom was basically split up amongst his generals, and that kind of fell to the Ptolemies. And again, the Ptolemies were Macedonians; they're Macedonian Greeks, and there has been plenty of artwork depicting Cleopatra. She's not black. She's not Egyptian. At the same time, most Greeks typically were all complected. So maybe she might have been portrayed as being a little too light, or she actually could have been really light skinned. I mean, it just, that's the whole funny thing about genetics. But what we do know is that, she was not Egyptian and she wasn't black. There were black people in Egypt, typically Nubians. You go to Egypt or just Google a picture of an Egyptian. Yes, they are darker skinned because they live near the equator, but they're not black. They have a different set of features. And the other thing too is, like I said, with the whole thing with the continent and the people inside being treated as a monolithic people, which they are not. Yes, they have a very similar skin tone, which is black, but their genetics are vastly different from tribe to tribe. This is the big issue when you just judge people based off their skin color and not the ethnic group itself.
With Netflix, there's that whole inaccurate history because it's supposed to be a documentary, right? With live reenactments.
Well, that's the funny thing about it is that they call it a docu-series, even though they say it's a reimagining. But
you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Do that.
You can't.
Yeah, like Cleopatra appears to have the worst audience score in TV history. Comics.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, so Cleopatra, 13%. Tomato meter is the reviews. Audience, how come there's only 8 reviews there?
Oh.
Is that like
it's because it's a hot button topic that people don't want to talk about.
Gotcha. So they're afraid to write reviews.
Yeah, gotcha. Exactly. It's it's kind of getting it from both ends, but the reviewers,
that's what we say.
They don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to criticize it because it's this black lead.
Right, because it goes against their social and political views, right? They gotta
like basically woke on woke violence.
Oh my god, the audience score, which is over 1,000 ratings, 1%. Well, I heard about the controversy surrounding Netflix's docudrama, Queen Cleopatra. I hadn't been tracking it much since it was actually released a few days ago. It's number 6 in Netflix's top 10, and I don't think I've seen it go all that much higher than that. However, the show has done something I don't think that was even possible. It was just not the lowest audience score in Netflix history. It has essentially the lowest audience score possible on Rotten Tomatoes at 1%. Not a 10%,
no.
A 1%. Update, it just did tick up to 2. Still an unprecedented low. There aren't many critics reviews in, but those are low as well, with the show sitting at a 13%. But those audience scores, I've never seen anything like this. Not with bad shows, not with politically controversial shows prone to review bombing. Never this bad. Not in Netflix history, honestly. I don't even think in TV history, at least with this as many reviews in.
I hate that term, review bombing. It is such a
Yeah.
stupid term. By labeling it as review bombing, they're delegitimizing people's
Let me
reviews.
see. The last time I broached this topic is when Netflix's now canceled show Resident Evil the adaptation scored a 22% with fans. One of the lowest I'd ever seen on the service. That was low compared to other high profile Netflix misses. Jupiter's Legacy was 73, Space Force 77, Haters Back Off was 76%, Resident Evil with 39%. Fans usually rate things higher than critics, even bad shows. That's a great point. And the point being, a 1% audience score seems borderline mathematically impossible, even with the controversy the film has attracted. And I guess this is the girl playing Cleo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The thing I find funny about it, it's to me, I want to see them go and make an actual movie or TV show based off of like an actual African leader, and then cast an Asian to play him.
Ooh.
And this is they talk about how this is unimportant until they do something like that, and literally they shit themselves in anger, for the exact same stuff they're doing to everybody else, right?
Yeah, it's very strange what Hollywood has gotten away with and what they can't get away with. They can't get away with that. I think actors still who aren't gay can play gay characters. I think it depends. Some have apologized for it. So stupid.
Here's the thing. This is what I want them to do. I want them to go and do a Montezuma movie and cast a black actor to play Montezuma.
Well, see, that's the thing, is that they've done that in the past. Emiliano Zapata was Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
It's
like I'm not going to defend that, right? I mean, but that was a different time period where
Ben Affleck was Argo, was in Mexico.
Yeah. It's like
it still happens, but
yeah.
But as much as I cringe on those things, I get why a project is even greenlit, because Ben Affleck is going to direct and star. It's like,
well, yeah,
we don't have the Ben Afflecks yet.
About the draw. And, and there has been whitewashing, right? I mean, 100%. There was like one movie where I can't remember. It took place in Hawaii, and the character was supposed to be Native Hawaiian, and they cast
Emma Stone
or Emma Watson. No, Emma Stone. Yeah,
it was Cameron Crowe.
I think
movie.
So. Yeah,
that's just so bizarre, man.
And a lot of that, it's
the ancient one was Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was for multiple reasons, but they did the ancient one because of China, because the ancient one is
political.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So that was very much we're doing it to the Chinese audience to make them happy.
And then it gets reversed, man. Heaven forbid you have a black man on that poster in China.
Yep. And it's like, I had complaints with Ghost in the Shell, even though the body is prosthetic. It could be anybody, but Motoko Kusanagi is Japanese, and they should have picked a Japanese actress. And again, I understand why they did it, because it's Scarlett Johansson, and she's a big
but
name.
See, that's part of the tightrope that Hollywood walks, and sometimes it's hypocrisy. The hypocrisy comes out when they try to virtue on this shit.
Yeah.
It's like, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The issue is the conceptualization of what purports to be a historical documentary, saying that Cleopatra was a black African queen, as this season was supposed to be the first in a series covering different queens from the continent. Oh, didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
the series is called African Queens.
Oh, okay. I mean, under that loose definition, you could put Cleopatra.
She is still an African queen. I mean, she is the queen of Egypt.
Correct.
And the thing is,
but you can't look like Beyonce, right?
Yeah. That's what it is. It's produced by Jada Pinkett Smith.
Oh.
And and the thing is,
it's all political, man. That's totally political.
It's political and identity politics driven, and that's kind of the issue with that. And it's like, you can still do African queens and have her be an African queen, because that's what she is, but she's not black.
Yeah, people don't get that.
Yeah. There is plenty of, paintings, sculptures of her. She does not have African features whatsoever. And they're trying to say, oh, that they're
Yeah,
whitewashed.
she's
It's like
actually got some
bullshit.
looking features from what I
Yeah.
remember.
It is such crap.
And
And
this
the only
woman
thing
this
I
actual
was
woman is actually too pretty as Cleopatra.
Yeah, she
but
is.
there is not terribly credible evidence that the Cleopatra was black. Instead, she was of Macedonian Greek descent, just like you guys said.
Mm.
The country of Egypt in particular is taking offense to the show altering their history.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, there is a Egyptian lawyer that is suing Netflix over this. And again, going back to what we're talking about with the whole thing with colonizing their history. Yeah, the
Wow.
Egyptians are very offended by it.
Wow.
And yeah, and the reaction from Netflix and the actor and the director has been just disgusting, right? Because they're going and trying to actively erase Egyptian history. And the Egyptians are having none of it. I mean, you even had Egyptian
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know this.
You have Egyptian archaeologists coming out saying, no, she wasn't black.
See,
This is like a really bad look.
And you know why it's bad? Because it could totally have been avoided.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been like, because you got your series. So Cleopatra is, is probably the most famous one, but you're gonna have other black queens in your series. Why not show this one that looks more like you and me, right? Than a Beyonce. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It could have been totally avoided. I got a chance to see the first episode of Queen Cleopatra, and what stood out most was their modern attitude, aesthetics, and language done in the retelling of this ancient story. Interesting that this actor stated her ethnicity is not the focus of Queen Cleopatra, but we did intentionally decide to depict her of mixed ethnicity that reflects theories about Cleopatra's possible Egyptian ancestry and the multicultural nature of ancient Egypt. And yet in the first episode, first seen by a scholar, they uttered the words that Queen Cleopatra is a black woman. You guys be the judge. Please comment and let me know what you guys think of this controversial topic. Wherever you're at, keep your slant fuerte.